Welcome everybody in the name of IRISCC to this new session in relation to questions that you might have concerning our third call. In this session, as you have realized, we're going to be recording this first introductory part, which I promise is going to be very short and straight to the point. And then we can stop the record and move to whatever questions you might have in relation to the call. I'm going to briefly talk about what is IRISCC and what is the IRISCC Catalogue of Service. Then I'm going to move forward to how to access the different research infrastructure services and go to the application process and access management. Then we will end up talking about why we think it's interesting to apply access via IRISCC, and then we will move forward with your questions. So in a nutshell, you might already know that IRISCC is a consortium. You can see a bit of the information there. The acronym actually stands for Integrated Research Infrastructure Services for Climate Change Risks, and it's in fact related with climate change risks. It has a 4.5 years lifetime, and it involves quite a big amount of partners, of almost 80 affiliations, and this translates into 14 different research infrastructures who are leading European research infrastructures. As you can see in this figure at the right-hand side, many of them are related with Earth systems, as you can see. Some of them are more focused on oceans, marine environments, atmospheric sciences. But it's not only the Earth system. We also have health and environment research infrastructures, also social sciences related research infrastructures, or even research infrastructures operating in the fringe between social sciences and natural sciences. And there's also infrastructures involved in the consortium. And as I was saying, IRISCC is pretty much about the integration of these different research infrastructure services in relation to climate change risks. And we do define risk as a combination of these three different determinants: hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. In terms of hazard, we can have determinants that might be slow onset processes, extreme processes, or even indirect hazards. We then have the exposure, which should be the spatiotemporal co-location of the system at risk and the hazard, and then the vulnerability component, which is the lack of resilience and adaptability of a given system. So the combination of these three determinants in different proportion creates a risk. And for example, you can define these risks in terms of human systems or natural systems or production systems. So with this description, I think that probably many of you could position yourselves in the different determinants, or even in different examples that are given in here, either because of your research is related to that, or your business, or your interest in a certain topic. This is maybe a different way to see this combination of the different systems and risks that are associated to this IRISCC consortium. It's given in a nice sort of a heat map. You can see at the left-hand side the different systems that you can find in the consortium in association to the services given by these research infrastructures. And then on the top-hand side, you will find the different risks. So how do you interpret the graph? So if you go to the left-hand side, the very first cell, there are 9 services in the catalogue that are related with climate warming in the context of urban areas, etc., etc. Another way to see as well the different services and stations is this nice landscape with all the different facilities scattered all over Europe. And if I'm coming back again to the previous figure I showed, as I was saying, we do have in IRISCC 14 different research infrastructures. This is more than 60 services. And some of these services depending on the research infrastructure, can be physical or remote. We will explain this a little bit further. And some other research infrastructures are actually offering their services virtual. Some of the research infrastructures are given both as physical and remote and virtual. This is also maybe an important thing to keep in mind when you are writing your proposal, what type of access you're looking for. And as I was saying, we're going to focus today in this third call. We're going to go later on, show live how you can access the different services. And for that, we're going to explore a bit the catalog of services. This is just a screenshot of how the catalog of services looks like. You do have the QR there with the full catalog of services and anything that might be interesting for your research, your business, or any topic of interest. As I was also saying, IRISCC is going to have three different service levels. At the moment, we are offering, if you see this figure, the one that is in the very first block, these are services given by the different research infrastructure providers as such. The idea is just at the moment, like connecting the existing services given by these research infrastructures. But later on, actually towards autumn this year, there's going to be a new set of services, a bit more complex, that aim for the integration of the services among different research infrastructures. And later on in the lifetime of the project, we are going to have an even more complex service type that it has to do with knowledge services involving different stakeholders as well. So this is also worth keeping in mind. So that was pretty much IRISCC in a nutshell. And now, as we were talking about the catalog of services, how do I access the different services that the different research infrastructures associated to IRISCC can offer for me? Just quickly catching up, what is a research infrastructure and what is access when we are talking here about the third access call. So by research infrastructure, you have facilities that can provide resources or services for the research community to conduct research and foster innovation in their fields. And of a unique nature and open to external users, essential to achieve excellence in R&I. And by access, we mean the physical, remote, and virtual admission to interactions with and use of research infrastructures and service offers by research infrastructures to users. So at the end of the day, the type of access can look like this. This is why we were at the beginning saying that there are some research infrastructure that they can offer you physical or remote, some others virtual, some all of them. In the transnational access category, you can find the physical access category, which is the hands-on access of a user who physically visits a facility or an installation. So that would be you or your team moving to a certain location or station to access a service. But you can also apply for a remote access. And this is that this doesn't force you to be physically there. You can actually access the facility through, let's say, like you can tell the facility staff what you're looking for from their service or from their station, and they can do it for you. And then hybrid access would be this combination between this physical aspect and the remote access. This is the part transnational access that we are dealing here in this third call. In IRISCC, we also have this virtual access, and I have to say that virtual access, you don't need to access the services that are virtual in IRISCC during these call sessions or open calls. They're open all the time, and you can freely access them. I will show them to you later as well. But These are differences in the type of accesses that you should take into account, because it might be also relevant in case you don't have the time, you need to split your team between different stations. Maybe you might need to apply for physical access to one, but maybe remote to other one, because you don't have the staff to move to the second one. Things to keep in mind. So this is in a nutshell how the whole request access proposal works. It has 5 steps. The first one would be you have a topic, you're interested in some of the services that are in the catalog, and you want to request for access. That would be the first part. You should write your proposal, and I will explain later on how this can be done. And the proposal will go to the transnational access team as SAMU. We will have Rosa Maria Petracca here so that in case you have questions related to this aspect, she can happily answer later on. But in this part, this team is going to check for the eligibility. And this is just to ascertain that everything is in compliance with the European Union eligibility criteria. And the eligibility check, it's also related with checking the targeted audience. It might be that in some calls we are only focusing on policymakers or in researchers, etc. This is not the case for the 3rd call. It's open to all. But this might be a thing that it's different for the future calls. So that would be one thing that it needs to be checking the eligibility check. The other thing is the transnationality. So your proposal needs to request services from station services that are not in the same country as your affiliation or your team's affiliation. We can explain that later on. And the third one, it would be a dissemination process that you agree that you're going to disseminate the knowledge you create with this requested access if it's accepted. After that, if you get the yes, it goes to a feasibility check. This basically means that the TA team gets in contact with the different service or station managers, talking about if this is feasible within the timeline that the proposal is suggesting, with the working load or the availability of staff in the station, etc. We strongly recommend, before you already write your proposal, to contact these people, station managers, etc., yourself, asking already for the feasibility of your proposal. We are going to show you later on that in each of the services, you are going to have this information, the information related to each of the station or service key people, and you can freely contact them because it would be a shame that you're spending time creating a proposal to then realize that it's not feasible for the station manager or the service provider. So we strongly encourage, once you do have your idea, to first contact them, talk with them, tweak it, and move on with your proposal and the writing of your proposal. After these 2 checks are checked, your proposal is going to move to an evaluation process. So it's going to be evaluated by 2 individuals independently. And in this evaluation process, they are going to score your proposal in terms of 3 different blocks plus a bonus. These blocks are scientific and technical relevance of your proposal, the novelty and the innovation of your proposal, and the implementation quality. I was also saying that there is an additional bonus section, for example, if your proposal involves collaboration, that it's a cross-research infrastructures collaboration, for example. So these sorts of complexities are also taken into account in the evaluation criteria and in the scoring process. And if you score a certain threshold, then your request is accepted and you can access the services. And if not, it might be that we send you feedback so that the proposal can still be tweaked so that you can modify it make it a bit better or clarify the problems it has, and finally get the access to the services you were requesting. So all in all, these are the 6 pillars that the IRIS can give to you in relation to these service accesses. International access, as we were saying, sponsor access. IRISCC is going to actually pay for the cost to sponsor the services that are given in the catalog. And we can also give you scientific support, technological and logistical support. And on top of that, we can also help a little bit with travel and subsistence for your transnational access proposals. We are expecting that you can get the full or most of the travel and subsistence budget from other sources, but we can still help you a bit in that matter beyond the sponsor accesses to the services. So if we go a little bit into how the application process goes and how it's managed, as I was saying, this is the 3rd call, and it might be that if you want to create a proposal that it's more complex, you might need more time than the timelines that we give during the calls. Normally, we give 2 months of period in which you can actually send us our proposal. Maybe this is too short to create something that you might have in mind that involves different stakeholders or an interdisciplinarity. But this is why we are also giving you the full timeline of the remaining calls that are going to come up in the future, so that if you know that your idea is complex and might require more time, maybe you don't try to score your proposal this time due to time constraints, but you can already figure out that the next call is going to open in July, and towards the end of the year, we're going to have also the 5th call. So these are also things that it would be good to keep in mind. But let's move forward with the proposal. You have your idea. You are interested in some of the services that are in the catalog, and this would be one of the examples that you can see in the catalog. This is actually a screenshot of the catalog. So you go to the catalog of services, you are interested, for example, in this service, and at the right-hand side, you're going to have additional information. If, for example, in this image, if you go towards the lower part, you're going to see that you have contact information. This is what I was explaining earlier when I was saying that maybe it would be good to consider to contact the service or the station manager in advance if you, for example, have a certain project related with this service, so that you guys can figure out if the timeline you are proposing or the workload is too much, etc., etc. But let's say that once you have figured it out, you would just click on that lower part, submit my project section, and the catalog would redirect you to this page. This is actually the IRISCC page, and this is the portal where you are going to actually write down your proposal and finally submit it. This is still a screenshot. If you go to the lower hand, you can see that this is actually the first TA call. At the moment, as we are saying, we do have 3, and then at the right-hand side, you also have another type of transnational access that it's the fast-track call. So apart from the virtual access, we also have a fast-track call that it's open all the time in case of emergencies and also for Ukrainian teams. By emergencies, we're also thinking, imagine that you are working in fire-related topics, and suddenly we do have extreme events of fire during summer in many places around Europe. So maybe that would be a way for you to access the services through this fast track call rather than waiting for the other calls that they are bound in time. This is also good to keep in mind. But then let's imagine that you are going for this TA call, in this case, the third one. You would go to the more, click there. You will see the page as at your left-hand side. You click apply, and then it will pop up as you can see at the right-hand side. You just need to fill in the information in there. And once you are happy with it, you would just submit it. This is how our team from Actris, from the Transnational Access team, Samu, is gonna check your proposal. You can see the different aspects at the left-hand side. You would have already fulfilled this application submission, and then, as I was previously saying, they will go for the eligibility, feasibility check, and then this will move forward for the scientific merit and evaluation. So this is, for example, how the evaluators would also look at your application form. At the right-hand side, they will score the different blocks, as I was saying, in relation to your proposal, and they will come to us with a value. And this is more or less how the scoring and the ranking looks. This is all information you can find in the handbook, and actually we can put it in the chat so that if you haven't have a look to the handbook, you can now also check, because there's a lot of detailed information in there. And if you have any question, you're more than free to contact us. But once again, this is the scoring table that the evaluators are going to be using for the different parts of your proposal, and they will come up with a score value in the end. If you see the second table in there, the one with the green and yellow shades, this is what it's going to end up revealing the quality of your proposal, and it's going to rank based on their final scores. We also have to say that acceptance thresholds might be set depending on the available resources or call specificities. So if you go to that table in the yellow average section, you see that it's written either accepted or rejected. So this is what we mean by an acceptance threshold that can be dynamic depending on the call. It doesn't need to be all the time a threshold between the rejected red part and the first C1, but it can move depending on the available resources and some call specifics. And in the case that we do have some limits or priorities to the request, we are going to be using this prioritization criteria that it's also in the handbook. So this is more or less a proposal in a nutshell. You have an idea, you explore our services of catalogs and apply for access, conduct your research, and of course, make an impact. The last slide, why we think that applying service access through IRIS might be relevant for you. Well, we do consider that it's a terrific opportunity to access resources and services for free. You can conduct excellent research, science. These are like 14 top European research infrastructures. It can contribute to interdisciplinary research based on the nature of the different research infrastructures as well. It can activate connections and strengthen collaborations among different groups, and it can also expand knowledge and skills for you or your team. So this is what I wanted to show you. And I promised before stopping the record that I could also have a look live to how the whole process goes. So This is, for example, when you go to the IRISCC website, the catalog of services, you can explore it through services or let's go to services. You can explore it through facilities or through services. And this is how it's going to look. There are about around 80 services, but you can use all these different settings to look for something that you might be interested. Let's say I'm studying drought, and therefore I'm interested in services related with drought. So here you're going to see the different services in different facilities related with these keywords. And let's say that I'm interested in accessing this brand beer precipitation manipulation experiment. You're going to have some information in here, additional information in here. You can also see, for example, as in the table heat map that I was previously showing, towards what type of system and risk is this referring to? And then if you have any questions, you can actually contact the person in charge. So basically, let's say that you're interested in using this service in Denmark, you would go here, and then you would end up selecting your role. In this case, it's applicant. I just prepare one so that you can see. Once you click applicant, you're going to see that you might have application forms earlier or not, but this is how it would look, and it was given in the screenshots. Basically, you will have 3 different pages in which you need to fill in the information in relation to, well, there's going to be some general information. Then there's going to be some information related to the access, if it's going to be physical, if it's going to be remote, virtual. And then there's going to be also the core information where you're going to explain which are the determinants. You are checking with your proposal, the objectives, the experimental methods, etc., etc. This was just a dummy test to see how it looks. You would move forward. As I said, it's 3 pages in total. You would say your determinants, you would describe the determinants, the scientific fields. You will also say to what type of disciplinarity level is your project associated. Here you have more explanations about that, etc., etc. Once you're happy with all the information that you have given in your proposal, you would just mark as complete and send it. And yes, I was also talking earlier about the virtual access that you can access all the time. If you go to the sponsor access and you don't need to do this during the call periods, you can actually explore the virtual access services through that part. And let's say that you're interested in aerosol remote sensing. You go here. Well, maybe it wasn't the best example. Yes, well, but you get the idea. Yeah, for example, this with fast. So you can access the different information, and this is available all the time. So this is what I wanted to show you. I think it took me longer than expected, but with this, I'm going to stop the record and we can move to the questions.